game, that was actually what they were very well known for. Their early game has always kind of been debatably very bad, and I think that they kind of, you know, they just mitigated that weakness, and I think that they did a great job in the mid-game. So we'll see how things change in game 2. We heard from Yamato in the post-game talk about how they wanted to see the Ornn ban removed and actually replaced with a Camille, but it looks like that they're going to keep to what they know for the time being, with Syndra and Ornn being taken off the board, and G2 looking to do the same with their Set and Lucian.
Same bans on both sides so far, with the Graves being banned away here by GENG. We'll see if G2 decide to switch things up. If they don't, Renekton will be removed, and maybe we have the start of a run back instead. Rascal says, anything you can do, I can do better. Okay. As he locks in the Camille. Cool,
I like this response from GENG. They're saying this in the bans what the problem the picks were. So let's get ourselves the Camille. If you're going to take all these off the board, you would imagine that, excuse me, G2 is going to look to respond with the volley bed later on in the draft, but they could still get themselves the Twisted Fate and the Nidalee if they wanted to. Still very powerful champions, a very strong combo. They're actually going to lock in the Lilia though. Okay, we did see a Lilia from Jankos in the group stages. The question is, what are they going to pair up with it? Will we see an AD mid laner, or will we see the Twisted Fate once again for G2?
Right now, having a little bit of a think, the Shen will come in.
Okay.
So the expectation here is that Wunder will pilot that in the top lane. However, support Shen is a thing, and Mickey is the sort of player that would bring out support Shen. So there is a bit of flexibility in this pick. Of course, it does work well into the Camille. You can block a lot of her damage by putting down your Spirit's Refuge, and there is the Nidalee answer from Clid on GENG. Whoa, okay.
Wait.
This is just G2's come from the first game.
Yeah, but this is also considered to be a very powerful draft on the current patch. Oh, it will be really funny if GENG is like, wait a minute, your comp? My comp. They're going to lock in the Twisted Fate, all right. GENG now get to showcase, well, anything you can do, we can do better. So let's have a look and see how G2 respond, because, yeah, they're going to give up the Nidalee, they're going to give up the Twisted Fate. Of course, G2 do have the Shen to try and match some of the global pressure. The question is, will they go for a Galio here? They'll be lacking a little bit in terms of damage. Note, they're going to match it with the Sylas. We saw this come out from Knight yesterday on Top Esports when he played up against Fnatic. You can steal away that ultimate at level 6. You can look to try and match some of the Twisted Fate roams. I do think that right now he doesn't have the best ultimates to steal. Camille not that bad, but Nidalee really not that helpful. So we'll see how GENG round out their comp and if there are any more valuable picks that Caps can look to take away.
And the question is where we go in terms of AD carries. With the Kalista getting banned away, GENG last time took away the Ashe, took away the Senna. But this time they will say, well, we don't want Mickey going onto his Pantheon and having that ability to get to a side lane as quickly as he could with the Grand Starfall. I wonder if Ashe is going to be high on the list here for G2, yet to be banned away.
I feel like Ezreal might be slightly higher on the priority list. When you have this comp from GENG, you can see how easy it is to be able to look for picks, attack that bot side of the map, especially if GENG can get themselves a strong 2 versus 2. And I think that Perkz Ezreal kind of makes the most sense in terms of being able to play safe, be able to play weak side, play a little bit more defensively. But if they feel that the Shen is a strong enough protection, they may just stick to what they know. They're going to go for the Jhin once more.
Gives you that little bit more range when you want to get into the fights. The Curtain Call can help pick people off, and we already saw the combination between the Deadly Flourish and any damage from anyone else on your team, just locking someone up from long range. However, GENG here, I'd love an Ashe. Like an arrow into a Destiny, into a gold card, into a Hexag Ultimatum, like that is feeling so strong, but instead they are looking towards the Ezreal. A little bit more safety, as you said. In the end,
don't talk about it until it gets locked in, Medic. Like, Ruler is known, he played a lot of both Ashe and Ezreal during the regular season of the LCK. Both are big comfort picks for him, and I think that he was pretty happy to go either or. I think GENG wanted a little bit more pick potential in their composition. We saw it from the Jhin from G2 last game. Now we're going to get to see it with the Ashe Arrow and the Tahm Kench. So when you kind of look at the team fight power, not the strongest of GENG, the Nidalee and Twisted Fate become a little bit harder to execute later on into the game. Ooh, and I was going to say the problem is they don't really have a strong frontline or engage, but this is where I think the Leona is exceptionally valuable. Going to give GENG a lot more agency in the bot lane 2 versus 2. and it also makes it much easier to play through this lane as well. So G2 going to try and respond by offering that protection with the Tahm Kench, it looks like. So they will have the Tahm Kench and Shen to at least face check for G2 when looking to contest and challenge some of these neutral objectives, but they don't really have a reliable engage tool. Perhaps the Sylas is able to steal away something like the Leona ultimate, maybe the Ashe ultimate as well. Maybe if the Sylas gets into melee range as the Shen come on top, they can use that as an opportunity. Maybe they have to try and use a pick, but I think that GENG, in terms of their ability to actually start fights, come the mid-game, look for picks across the map, they have a very well-rounded and strong comp to be able to do that. So I'm excited. I think that GENG already demonstrated that they can get big advantages in the laning phase against a team like G2 who's just in the mid-game where they kind of got picked apart. But with a comp like this, they can now answer and they can be the ones to be very aggressive come the mid-game. And I'm excited to see if they're able to do it up against G2 who did it so well in Game 1.
GENG needs to show us just that little bit more map play in this game. It can't all come down to team fights, although they do have a relatively strong team fighting composition as well. G2, on the other hand, a little bit mix and match for this team. Picking the Sylas to make sure you dance to the Twisted Fate. You don't have that sort of super sustained damage in a fight from something like an Ezreal or an Ashe. You have some ability to lock down, but also some ability to disengage. It doesn't feel as cohesive a composition as the one in Game 1.
Well, I think the early game will be a little bit slower, but we'll have to wait and see. I definitely agree with you. The composition is not quite as obvious as compared to Game 1, but I think that the game plan is to try and mitigate a lot of the cross-map plays that GENG is looking to try and set up. And I do think that G2 do have a strong 2 versus 2 on the bot side of the map with the Jhin and the Tahm Kench. So we'll have to wait and see what they're able to pull off the back of this. I think that there was a lot of criticism towards Jankos' spears last game.
Yeah, he missed quite a few.
But I still think that he played very well. I think that one of the biggest things that I saw from Jankos that was a departure from the group stage was that he tried to save lanes that fell apart in the early game. So like we think about that level 1 flash, in the group stages what Jankos would do is he would path to try and help them get through what is now a very difficult lane matchup. But this time he didn't. He abandoned his bot lane and he said, it's fine, I'm going to keep playing cross-map on the other side of the map. And he focused on himself rather than on his team. And I think that for a player like Jankos, it's a very big deal because ever since he's been on this G2 roster, he's been very much playing towards his laners rather than playing for himself. So that is what I think was a big evolution and a big standout for him. We'll see if he can do the same thing again on the Lilia, because now he's in the counter matchup. Now he's going up against Clid on the Nidalee. This again is a big comfort pick for him and something that he can be very selfish on. He can use some of the priority that he has in his lanes to go into Jankos' jungle, steal away a lot of those camps and be as obnoxious as Jankos was in the previous game.
You have to remember the last 2 times Clid and Jankos met, it was Jankos who came out on top 3-1 in Worlds semi-finals last year against SKT and 3-2 at MSI as well. So Clid will want a little bit of revenge. G2 setting up something down towards the bottom lane here. Looks like Mickey is trying to be a tasty catfish, a little bit of bait perhaps as G2 step all the way around. Life and Ruler have pushed forward just a little bit. Now there is a small, narrow window you can walk up through the bottom lane here and wonder, will have the taunt lifesteal procced on with that auto attack. There's the slow, flashes away from the deadly flourish.
Strong level 1 from G2, already getting the flash out from Life. They were able to do this in Game 1, and they were able to burn Rascal's flash, but of course the immediate response from Clid is to get a bit of vision up towards the top side. Rascal's also there to assist him. They do have this red ward from G2 to spot that one up, and they're like, no. No buffs will be stolen today. And they're going to look to try and deny some vision. Wonder has to be careful though, because you can see that Rascal lying in wait in that tri-brush.
Looks like Clid is going to start unassisted on his blue buff. Of course, Nidalee with the spear does get a big burst of damage to start off that buff. And it's interesting to me that Jankos has decided to start blue himself. Often on Lilia, especially when I play with Ender, he likes to go for the Razor Beaks because you get so much out of clearing those multi-minion camps from your jungle talisman. You get all of that healing, you can just sweep them away. And it keeps you very healthy throughout the jungle, but Jankos here opting to be assisted by his bottom lane, meaning that he can work his way towards that top side of the map.
I'm interested to see... Ooh, Ruler.
Life has no flash, remember? He's going to dive in. Of course, no Shield of Daybreak, no stun on the Leona, only the Zenith Blade at level 1.
So we can see a bit of trading in the bot side, not that surprising. Wonder also not getting the better of Rascal at this level 1 point. Not really that surprising because of how you can use the Camille W to be obnoxious. Rascal has the stun. Oh, but another engaged bot lane.
Life ignited. Mickey looking for the acquired taste. Life is ticking down, but he will be able to survive. Mickey ticking away as well. Perks does have heal in this matchup. Here's Jankos on his way down as well, and Life, of course, has no flash. There's the heal. They try and get Life out, but watch out, eat Life. Perks, Zenith bladed on. Life survives. Jankos unable to take the kill. That's a double for Ruler in the bottom lane, in the top lane. Rascal kills Wonder. Wonder kills him in response. Ruler will fall to Jankos, but what an incredible play from GENG.
Everything comes together for the bot lane of GENG, and huge props to Life there in the last second, diving on top of Perks to create a gap between him and Ruler, actually stunning Perks up. He was still only level 1, and that was the biggest problem for G2 in that situation. Not having the level 2, not having that additional health, those additional stats, anything really put them behind and allowed the bot lane to come through. Let's have a look at this Axe replay from Rascal, and remember that he did get level 2 first. As the bot lane action was taking off, he is able to get the stun, lands it onto Wonder, and then he just commits to the fight. Is able to get good damage down. Wonder still on level 1. And then Wonder just goes back. He's trying to get that level 2 mark. Oh, he goes for the all-in, and then of course the shield comes through. Wonder very quickly realizes, I don't have the damage for this. Ooh, and then the flash underneath the tower. Still, definitely a worthwhile kill up there for Rascal. But we didn't get a replay of the bot line fight, unfortunately, and I really want to give credit to Life there, considering he didn't have flash. It should have been an easy kill for G2 in the bot side of the map, but once again, we're seeing Ruler and Life kind of come out ahead in the 2 versus 2. If it wasn't for Jankos, that bot lane matchup could have been a lot worse. But now there's no summoners anywhere. Only mid laners have their flashes and TPs up Medic. That could mean even more action towards the bot side of the map.
Clid has his flash as well, and Wonder is trading here in the top lane once again. Rascal looking for the knockup. There it is. Wonder forced back. Jankos on his way. Rascal, remember, he's got no flash. He's got no hook shot. And the chase is on. Watch out as Jankos dives forward. Teleport coming in. Jankos looking for the kill, but can't quite get Rascal. In the end, he gets him. Blossoming Blows will get the kill. BDD chasing with the TP. Has a stun guard locked in. Will flash forward. And Jankos goes down for his trade, but Caps is having none of this. He wants a little bit more of an action. BDD, no flash, no way to get away. Is Wonder coming in as well? There's the taunt alongside the stun. BDD falls.
Whew. Okay, so a lot more action in this early game compared to last game, Medic. Already 4 kills on the board for both sides, and well, where do I even begin when it comes to breaking that down? So basically what happened is Clid was able to get double scuttle. That's important to note because right now he's been taking advantage of the fact that Jankos went for early ganks. He then looks at the top side of the map because Rascal has a pushing wave in and he wants to try and get a pick onto Wonder, but Jankos is there to counteract Rascal, who didn't have flash. Then BDD TPs in to actually mitigate or like turn the fight in their favor, but BDD is forced to use the flash because Jankos, keeping the passive stacked, uses that movement speed to just stay out of BDD's range. This, because he commits the flash, means that Wonder can come down, Caps can also collapse, and it ends up being a kill. He's going to sit on 2 rings. Why about Dark Seal? Dark Seal. Of course, they don't stack in terms of the stacks, but you do get that additional healing off the back of it, so still valuable to stack it up. Meanwhile, Wonder is kind of the one that's lost the most in all of this because there was a huge wave that just crashed into the top lane tower. You can see that he's 10 CS down, but also a level down. And his level 6 is going to be heavily delayed. Meanwhile, BDD has just hit level 6. He's roaming bot, and he's looking for a gank.
Caps looking to try and join them, but he can't get in there in time. Mickey already down as Ruler takes the kill. BDD will fall as well. Caps didn't steal away the Destiny. Now, Ruler is getting chased down just a little bit. Life can look for the re-engage. 6-second cooldown on that stun.
But it ends up being a 1-for-1, and this time it's BDD who dies in exchange for Mickey. In terms of experience, gold, everything, much more worth for G2, because you're then going to give Caps the opportunity to push that wave in. He's then going to look for a roam himself, very common Caps play. Let's see if he can actually pull off a gank here. 3v3 in the bot side, more action, Medic.
He has the hijack. Perks trying to step forward, Clid in the right place to pounce. Out of the jungle, can come in. Enchanted Crystal Hour's been stolen away, and they've already locked up Ruler, and now Clid is next on the menu. The arrow's still available here for Caps if he wants to land the stun. Gets it immediately. Swell Seed's going to follow it up, but no level 6 yet for Jankos. The dive is available, but G2 decide against it for the moment. They are distracted
I don't think they do, Medic.
by the minions. Life able to dodge to the side, but the tongue lash comes out onto Clid, who gets caught with the abduct. Life underneath the tower, still getting chased down here by Caps, who decides he doesn't need to sacrifice his life for the kill.
Wow, okay, so that's what Caps then uses his priority for, to punish GENG as they try to push in that wave and get the wave to bounce back. this is why the BDD death was so impactful, and Caps utilizes it well. BDD tried to look for a roam up towards the top lane. He will be able to get a bit of farm himself. But wow, a lot of kills happening in this early game. And you know, I was talking about at the beginning of this game how Jankos went much more towards focusing for himself, but this game, he's all about the ganks. He's really trying to punish the fact that so many summoner spells are being used, but also he's trying to counter-gank a lot of what is happening on the map, and I respect BDD utilizing that ultimate the moment it hits level 6, but that one punish ends up working out so much better for G2.
Have a look at this from Caps' point of view. You can see consistently landing the stuns there onto Ruler, has that arrow stolen away, and is able to catch onto Clid at point-blank range.
Yeah, good patience there, and they had the wave in a really good spot too, because they only had to clear a few more minions out to be able to commit to this play, and then a good set of CC is able to come through. They're able to get that initial kill. They wanted a little bit more, but then Caps realizes, my W still has a 9-second cooldown, probably not worth diving at this point.
And the important thing about that for G2 as well is, remember, Ruler got such a sizable advantage early on. He was 2 kills up as Rascal is taunted when diving underneath the tower. But Ruler was in such a strong position. Now Perks has been able to get some of that gold back. He's got a CS lead. He's got himself a kill. Yes, he's still behind in the pure 2v2, but he is not being forced underneath his tower regularly. You can see, in fact, Life has decided to come up here to join the rest of GENG on the Rift Herald. Clid diving in. Jankos just able to survive. Gets hit with a final spear as Clid takes him down. And a little bit greedy there from G2 as GENG had set up around this Rift Herald.
Yeah, really good punish from Clid and BDD there. I think BDD had Ghost on his
Spellbook?
Spellbook, yeah. And I think that he used that to actually close the gap between him and Jankos, and they were able to get the punish. Of course, in this situation, what we saw last game was G2 look to try and make a cross-map play happen. So they would have either looked to try and make a dive happen bot, or perhaps even go for a Drake, but they instead tried to contest. And this is the best case scenario for GENG, because now they can set up for the Drake themselves. They're going to be able to steal away some of the camps from Jankos, and Clid now putting himself in the position that Jankos was in game 1 with a huge CS advantage as the mid laners look to trade.
Yeah, Caps just jumping forward onto BDD. The Kingslayer, of course, heals you up more the lower you are as Life dives in, but good devour from Mickey will keep Perks safe for the moment. And very even game here, Vedius. 400 gold between the two teams, 6 kills to 7 at the 9.5-minute mark, and we're starting to see those first items on their way. Looks like it's going to be a Blade of the Ruined King possibly for Ruler in this game on the Ashe, work his way through the Shen. Of course, Silas gets pretty tanky as well, depending on how he decides to build.
It's pretty interesting there how they actually gave a lot of the mid lane farm over to Jankos, as it was Caps threatening the enemy Raptors. You can see that with Clid on the bot side of the map and with Destiny coming up, this is a situation where GENG is definitely looking to set up for this Drake. They're going to drop a couple wards over the wall. BDD has just looked to reset. His TP will be up relatively soon, as many G2 members are going to reset. Ooh, the Storm Rays are already coming through for Perks. Definitely a big item purchase, going to give him a very potent early game spike. But with the push in bot, I think GENG are going to have the priority on this objective, and they may look to just start this one off. Let's see how G2 respond. Wonder has TP and ultimate. Rascal is the same. Will they contest?
Jankos will look for a swirl seed. Chucks it out, misses Life and Ruler straight through the uprights, and Clid should just be able to take this dragon. Jankos stepping forward, but unable to get there in time. And this is kind of the story of G2 games. You talked about it a little bit in game 1, Vedius, but G2 really don't go for those objectives. It's always GENG going for the objectives, and G2 just don't like the early dragons at all as they look for a fight down here towards the bottom lane, but can't find the connection onto Ruler.
Oh. There are those Drake stats that you were talking about,
I'll be honest, the screen wasn't responding to my touch. I was wondering whether I'd lost feeling in my fingers.
But talk us through the stats, man.
So as you can see, G2, first dragon percent, it's the FD at the top. Only 30% of the time does G2 go for the first dragon, whereas GENG much more often go for that first Drake. G2 get about half the dragons in all of their games. GENG get about 63%, about 2/3. And Barons, G2 actually one of the worst Baron taking teams at Worlds groups. Whereas GENG consistently go for them, and now GENG look for a fight in the mid lane, but Mickey is here and Perks is here, and Clid is no longer. He's gone back to the fountain. BDD tries to flash away, but there's no escape. The Solar Flare! Stopwatch from BDD underneath the tower. Perks looking for the fourth shot, will get it. Rascal comes in from the side. The arrow's going to land from downtown as well. Solar Flare stolen away there by Caps as Life looks for the re-engage. Ruler stepping forward. There's a stun, and now Ruler's been put to sleep. Underneath the tower, he is dozing off, and Jankos will happily accept that kill. Rascal able to survive as 2 players from G2 go down, but they managed to pick up 4.
Wow. So, everyone in the mid lane here, Medic. What a crazy collapse and crazy team fight that G2 are able to come out on top of. I believe that was 4 kills for 2 at the very end of it. Like, I'm going to need a replay to back that one out because where do we even start? So, initially, this is BDD and Clid looking to get a gank onto Caps. It looks like these overextended, but Shen ultimate plus the Tahm Kench ultimate actually allows G2 to collapse first. This is where they overcommit. A really nice stopwatch going to come through from BDD here as Wonder flashes underneath the tower, and then Life tries to get the stun. But Rascal's already making his way down. The Ash arrow comes through, and at this point, I think G2 could have just stopped and backed off, but in typical G2 fashion, always actually Life that flashes in to try and get the re-engage. And perhaps that was a little overzealous because he then baits his AD carry in. And it allows G2 to get a couple more kills. Good ultimate at the very end coming out from Rascal to lock Wonder underneath the tower. But it's G2 that's coming out ahead in the kills.
It's GENG looking for the pick. Rascal trading onto Perks here in the bottom lane. Mickey actually had to flash forward. Deadly Flourish does not connect the Swell Seed. It was wide as well. Curtain calls have been brought down, but the trigonometry not working in Perks' favor as he couldn't quite find the angle. Yanko's still on the chase. Hook shots should just allow Rascal to escape. Yanko's
ultimate also still on cooldown. Wonder, I think he's going to die here.
4v1. It's not a fair fight as Wonder's locked underneath this top lane tower, puts down the Spirit's Refuge. Now he's going to try and get away, goes in with the taunt, lands it onto BDD. Wonder locked up with the Solar Flare, and the kill goes over to Clid.
Wow, so he actually decides to try and taunt BDD. I think he wanted BDD to get tower aggro, but he actually didn't end up getting it. Meanwhile, Rascal dies on the bot side of the map. So I have a couple questions, man. The first one is I am surprised Wonder decided to stay underneath that tower. Credit to him for being able to clear out that wave and buy a little bit more time. Perhaps he realized that there was no way that he was getting out of that situation, so instead he just wanted to stall for as long as he could. Maybe he thought he could outplay it. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. But my other question is what exactly happens bot lane, and we're going to get a replay to find out. Rascal actually just tries to base underneath his tower, and he has no way to get out. Yanko's tanking up the tower to allow Caps to deal the damage, and they're able to trade 1-for-1 in the end. G2 don't get that bot tower, but it is overall 1 tower for 1 on either side. G2, for now, sitting with the gold lead, but we're getting a very different game compared to what we had in Game 1.
It's a lot more chaotic, Vedi, as we are 21 kills at 15 minutes. Both teams taking equal amounts of plates, and one of the number I have to highlight is the fact that Caps obviously last week went on a website, got onto the nearest library and said, hey, I want a library card because I need to book out this Medjai Soul Stealer. 14 chapters are written in it so far. It's got 11 more to go before that's fully stacked up.
How long have you had that one in the books for?
I've been working on it a while, Vedi. Been working on it a while.
So, it's great that you brought up the mid laners because we need to contrast what BDD and Caps have kind of brought into this game. I think what's really interesting is that there's been a really big debate, I think, around BDD and Caps, especially prior to the tournament. Many were saying that, like, you should rate a BDD higher than Caps, you should rate Caps higher than BDD, but I think that they've just been very different players and they're often very difficult to compare. I think what's great about BDD is that he's been known as a very lane-dominant mid laner. I think that he's very consistent and very reliable, whereas Caps is all about roaming. He doesn't care that much about 1 versus 1. He's much more about playing for his team, and like you can already see how often G2 likes to play through him, whereas BDD, he's a little bit more isolated. Just look at the difference in the jungle proximity and how much more resources Caps gets as a player, and you can also see it in the CSD. BDD is much more about the lane, whereas Caps just kind of abandons farm in order to play around the map, and I think that they've been very difficult to compare, but in this situation, BDD's taken on the responsibility of trying to roam around the map a lot more, and he's actually been punished pretty consistently. There was that one play down towards the bot side of the map where he ended up getting collapsed upon. There was that one play in the mid where he was working with Clid, but it was G2 that do what they have to do, and they immediately collapsed onto Caps to keep him safe and actually turn the play in their favor. And so far on this Twisted Fate, he hasn't been able to find huge early game advantages for GENG, but we're entering the mid game now, and this is really where this Camille Nidalee Twisted Fate combo comes online, and we'll get to see how GENG utilize it, because this is where G2 is able to punish GENG so heavily in Game 1.
Yeah, as soon as you start to get those mid lane towers down, as soon as you make longer lanes in the top and bottom lane, you have so much more opportunity to get in behind your opponents, to use that destiny, to use the mobility of Nidalee through the jungle, and that's what GENG will be looking to do. Jankos is going to equalize the Dragon score here. The Ocean Drake goes down. It's another Infernal Soul, Vedi. Today is the day of Infernals, it would seem, as that will be the Dragon stacking up. But with both teams only at 1 at the 16-minute mark, it's a long way away before we get towards that Soul point.
So we can see a lot of major items now coming through as well. You already talked about the Magi for Caps, but he's now completed the Hextech GLP. We've got the Rod of Ages. Trinity Force is a big purchase for Rascal as well as he hits level 11. And Wonder also already completed the Titanic Hydra a little bit earlier on, but let's see what he goes back to buy. The important thing is level 11 for Wonder, level 11, or 12 rather, for Caps. Having 2 points in those ultimates is extremely valuable, specifically for the cooldown. The ability to use it more often, the additional shielding that Wonder's going to be able to provide, the lower cooldown and more regularly that Caps is going to be able to steal those ultimates, but the same can be said for BDD. He has his ultimate up a lot more often, which means that GENG can look to make those picks a little bit more often, and let's see where they look to make the plays. Caps has TP, he's currently in the bot side of the map. There's a bit of grouping up in the mid lane for both teams. But it looks like with no major objective, GENG right now are just doing what they can to hold the line and protect this mid-tier 1.
And they'll be able to do it. Still was unfazed by the fact the Rift Herald was used there just a little bit earlier. Rascal working his way down here. Now, he won't be spotted out by too many wards. I think there's one just around where the Razorbeaks would be, but already they're looking for perks. The Solar Flare comes down. Mickey still has the Devour here. Cleared with a spear from long range. Teleport coming in from G2 as they try and join the fray. That's Destiny from BDD. Life a little bit overextended. The rest of his team not there to help him. Life shut down by the Jin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fourth finds its mark. Clid goes golden, but he goes down as well. Caps is unstoppable, and G2 collapse on the play from GENG.
Caps with the great predict on the flash from Clid, uses his Q over the wall so that when Clid flashes over, Caps is actually able to get the execute. He still has the Ash arrow. He's looking for a pick, and he's found Rascal.
What is that damage from the Kingslayer in the arrow? Rascal locked out of the hook shot. Won't go down as a chain lash. Will not follow him over the wall, but G2 already coming up trumps in this game. There's the Tom Kens trying to get onto a Ruler who uses the blast cone to escape the mid lane tower falls. And it was just even gold a moment ago, Betty, and now G2 having 2,500 gold advantage.
And it's a situation where GENG is
Rascal's going for the flank. Who's he looking for? It's got to be Perks. Perks still has the flash, though. The sleep goes down, and Rascal hookshot, wall dives, and dies to Jankos. The red smite, blue smite doing his work there as Jankos gets the kill. Now they're still on the chase. BDD has to flash away. Caps with 22 stacks just needs to land. A single left up to the dives underneath the tower, and Clint is already down. Devour will spit Caps out, and Wonder tanking up the flurry of arrows that comes out of the Ash. G2 are going to turn and burn. Baron not even up yet.
Wow. I can't believe G2 are just consistently getting these kills, and like I just have to raise question marks around what GENG is trying to do here. Last game, we saw how you use this Twisted Fate combo. You look for... This is just trying to force a fight in the mid lane. Like, they're going for a 5 versus 5 here. TPs are up, Shen ultimate is up, and, like, BDD gets here late, but, like, the Camille isn't even in the fight yet, and they tried to commit so hard. And here's that predict from Caps over the wall, uses the Q, gets the predict, and is able to find that execute. But, like... This isn't how you use this comp. You can't just try and force the 5v5 like that, because especially at this point in the game, we just talked about all those items that came through for G2. I felt like that they were just in a much stronger position. You need to be trying to play through the Camille on a side lane, trying to look for these targets or stragglers that are caught out of position, trying to find these collapses, maybe even try to collapse on the Shen, but just trying to force that mid 5v5, I feel like it was never really going to pan out in your favor, and the execution just kind of fell apart. So G2 just kind of took the free fight. They were able to come out on top, and Caps is just smurfing right now. Yep. He is just kind of playing with his food on this Silas.
Having an absolutely stellar world so far as Caps. BDD has been struggling, I think we have to say. Hasn't been able to have the impact. In this matchup specifically, yeah. Hasn't been able to have the impact that he would like on these games. They look to Ruler once again. 3-3-1. Averages over a third of his team's damage in every single game, has 2 items here. And if anyone's going to be able to carry them out of this hole, it is the guy that has been with this team the longest. Remember, Ruler, a world champion, Vedius, was with Samsung, who changed to GENG in 2017 when they beat G2 in the group stage. Ruler has been here a long, long time, and a lot of people consider him up there amongst the best AD carries in the world.
For sure. Definitely, and I mean, like, we only have to look at his laning phase, and we saw how talented of a player Ruler is. Like, some of the situations that he was able to turn in his favor was just so well done. But here comes the sleep now from Jankos. Instant cleanse from Ruler.
Where did that come from?
Where did that
Oh, Mikaos. Clid has Mikaos.
Oh, Clid. Okay,
yeah.
okay. I thought it was life. Yeah, both.
Yeah, we both looked at life, and then we looked for the QSS.
Yeah. All right, Caps. Now towards the bot side of the map. G2 going to look to secure the first Infernal of the game. GENG now towards the top side, and this is a situation where they could look for a pick onto Wonder. Doesn't have flash, but BDD currently in the mid lane. So it looks like he's going to be safe for now.
But if you're GENG, you actually get into a really tricky spot here. Because the hope would be that you can kind of split the map up, you can have Rascal pushing in the side lane, and then someone can answer Caps' pressure. But you can't right now. Like, BDD is so far behind Caps that if he ever oversteps, he's just going to get deleted. And you can see they're having to move life down towards this bottom lane as well, which leaves you undermanned on the rest of the map. Now Caps with the Destiny can join any fight he wants. His teleport is almost off cooldown as well. It becomes so hard for GENG to pull around the map and find these picks they were looking for.
I mean, the terrifying thing about this comp, right? Like, we haven't even spoken about Mickey, but we did see how he used his ultimate to actually join the mid lane fight. And one of the cool things, and I think one of the things we don't really appreciate, is while GENG want to try and look for picks, it's actually very difficult because of things like this, the ability to collapse very quickly, and for G2 to actually look for these same responses. So every time GENG try to attack a side lane, G2 can actually collapse very fast.
So here's the thing, Caps doesn't have TP, it's just come off cooldown. Mickey has to go back beneath the tower. You can see Caps was walking down through that bottom lane. Destiny was popped by BDD to get to that fight, but I wonder perhaps if GENG had a small moment, a small opportunity there to try and jump on G2.
Thinking more about it, like, I'm understanding this comp a lot more from G2, and like, I can kind of understand a little bit more why GENG tried to force that fight in the mid lane, because, like, how do you attack the side lane? Like, there's a Shen ultimate, and there's a Tahm Kench ultimate, and Caps can just steal Destiny too. Yeah. So, like, you try to catch a pick, 3 people on a side lane. Well, G2 can have 4. And, like, you might just have to force yourself into these awkward fights, because when you want to utilize the strength of your composition, I think it heavily gets mitigated. So, you know, in the draft phase, we were kind of like trying to figure out what the goal of G2's comp was, but when we think about it a little bit more, I think actually the whole purpose of it is to shut down this Camille, Nidalee, Twisted Fate combo, and so far they've done a great job. And as you say, Caps is now strong enough where he can just go for this 1v1.
Flashes in with the Hex Ultimatum, he's going to lock Rascal down in the cage. Counter used as Wonder comes in with the Stand United. That's already 1 kill to G2. Rascal unable to get away, and now 5 members strong. G2 could look to push in. This is Cannon Wave, only Ruler cleared life here. BDD does have TP, he's going to back first, but this Inhibitor Tower might be forfeit for the time it takes GENG to get back on the map. Inhibitor Tower goes down, Perk stepping forward once again. BDD locking in the gold card, looking for a man to catch. The Inhibitor Tower does fall as G2 decide to back away.
You know, we talked about looking for picks on a side lane. That was a good one from Caps. Looking to punish Rascal down towards the bot side of the map. Didn't even have an opportunity to flash because he was locked down by his own ultimate. Yep. And 25 stacks on the Magi's. Here we go, the curtain call comes through.
They're trying to burn Ruler's flash here, but he can just step behind Cleared and Life. Didn't find the mark as well, so it only hits onto Cleared. But look at the damage from Perks. The Seek's going to come out. BDD on the backside of this fight. The Devour used onto Perks. He's going to have to try and get away because here comes Rascal. No ultimate on the Camille, but Mickey the first target. Using the thick skin trying to survive. He manages to, even through the Ignite. Now Life is down and Yakos stepping forward. The Sleep's already been used, but Ruler being chased off. The arrow goes wide. Almost sniped by his own shot there, but couldn't quite hit it. BDD torn it underneath the towers. Wonder flashes forward. Perks goes in with the final shot, and it will find its mark. 2 quick kills to G2.
Another big team fight that goes in G2's favor, and they're only going to continue to snowball the gold lead. And it was another situation for GENG. It just felt like desperation. They're running out of options, they're running out of time, and they tried to force that fight, and G2 just so quickly collapsed and turn it in their favor. They're going to continue to extend the gold lead. Not going to go for the Baron, though. Feel like it's a little too risky at this point in the game. Instead, just going to catch waves, look to reset. They may even catch Rascal out here.
Rascal underneath the tower. Watch out as Clid comes in as well, but Rascal's actually almost dead as Perks just steps forward. That was just bad from Rascal. You're greeding for a single tower. That's 40 seconds that your team doesn't have you, and now the Baron very much on the menu for G2.
Certainly is, Medic. That's a good call there. Rascal, with the huge mistake, ends up getting punished. Klitsch tries to defend him. And now G2 can quite easily set up for this objective. They have more than enough damage. Caps is going to be the bodyguard as he looks for a pick onto BDD.
It's 2 levels up.
He will be spotted out, but what a monster performance from the man in the mid lane as G2 looks to continue this snowball. I'm kind of just like, I'm thinking more about it. I'm really impressed with the preparation that G2 have come in because, you know, again, when we looked at that draft, we were like, wow, G2 just going to give it over. They're just going to give away what they played so well in game 1. But it feels like that they came in well prepared. They had a very good answer. And like, let's just look at this fight. So it's GENG that collapsed first, but the Tahm Kench mitigates the pick potential. Tahm Kench is also tanking up a lot. And then one is able to join. Oh, hang on.
Mick has been caught out. BDD going on the chase. They want to wonder. Jankos trying to join the fray. As Caps not able to join this fight yet. You can see Jankos almost down. Life on the front lines. Going to get slept, but he can use the Gargoyle Stone Plate to heal himself back up. Now it's a great fight for GENG as they push forward, but the Solar Flare finds 3 on the back line. Is a double for Caps, and the curtains have opened. And perhaps this is the encore that Perks was looking for. BDD sniped down. A triple for Caps. Add more pages to the book as the Medjai Soul Stealer is all the way up to 25.
I think that was a Leona ultimate, but with all the AP of a
Yes, it was! The power of 1,000 suns!
And Caps just blows up the backline. Wow, okay, so what was a terrible fight for G2 ends up being swung off the back of Caps' beautiful play there. The Death Cap coming in clutch, and like you can see that GENG, I understand more why they're trying to go for these fights. Like you can
the start of that fight was so good.
Yeah, and they're able to get that pick onto Mickey, and when we get the replay, we'll be able to see like he was caught out of position. And then like let's keep a track of Caps here. So he steals away the Leona ultimate. He's going to throw it onto the back line. Look at the damage! He takes half the HP off of 3 members. He even gets a kill off the back of it, and then that's immediately all that they needed. Oh, wow, I have not seen that before. But yeah, late game Silas.
Yep. And now with this Red Bull Baron power play, G2 continue to take down structures. Solar Flare is going to hit on towards the backline. That's Perks caught out, but you can see Life almost down before you can even get out of the fight. Ignite ticking on Caps, uses the stopwatch to dodge the spear. He's going to come back up, and with the ammo, oh my god! Oh, that is disgusting! That is the most illegal ammo I have ever seen. Clint dives in, Rascal dives in, but they've already done, and Caps is still alive, and he's almost back up to full HP. Ruler, the last man standing, and what a fated end it is for GENG as he goes down. Another triple for Caps, and G2 against their own composition slap it right back in GENG's face. This has been once again a demolition from the LEC #1 seed as they go 2-0 up versus GENG.
Claps is here to play, Medic, and what a fantastic game 2 from him. Really showcasing the strength of this Silas and why it can be such an effective pick into the Twisted Fate. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more from the analyst desk so that we can get a little bit more insight on these drafts, because like again, I think that the response was extremely well done from G2, the way in which they answered. And like, you know, I was questioning, like, why are GENG trying to force these 5v5s? Why are they going for them? But it felt like that GENG recognized much earlier than I did the situation that they were in, and the only way they could actually turn this game around